the Cincinnati Observatory. I hope everyone is staying safe and healthy right now. I wanted to bring you guys another video. A question we get all of the time at the observatory is, can you see aliens with your big telescopes? And that's a really cool question. Unfortunately, no, we can't see aliens with our big telescopes. And the big reason for that is we don't know if aliens exist. We just don't know. So in the entire universe, there's only one place that we are 100% certain has life. Where is that? Earth, of course, right? We know that there's life on Earth, but we don't know anywhere else. There's a lot of places in the solar system and out in the universe that scientists think there could maybe be life, but we don't know yet. We don't know for sure. So when we talk about aliens, everything that we talk about has to be an educated guess because we're not certain. So if we're going to talk about aliens, we have to take the only place that we know for sure has life and use it as a model. So here on Earth, what are some things that all living things need? They need air, right? They need a way to breathe. We breathe oxygen. Things like plants breathe carbon dioxide, but everything breathes, right? So they need air. What else? They need water. As far as we know, water is a really important element for living things, right? All living things on Earth require water. So you need air, water. They need a source of energy, which for us is the food that we eat, right? And I want you guys to start thinking about where the energy in the food that we eat comes from. Where does most of our energy on Earth come? Think about that. All right, so we need air, water, a source of energy, and shelter or protection. We need shelter from the weather. We need protection from the environment. So those are things that all living things need. Luckily for us, Earth is set up perfectly to provide those things. So the biggest thing about Earth is its atmosphere. We've got the perfect atmosphere. It's not too thick and it's not too thin. Places like the Moon and Mercury have extremely thin atmospheres. In fact, their atmospheres are so thin that we call them an exosphere. And those exospheres don't protect Mars and or the Moon and Mercury very much. So there can be big temperature shifts and there's a lot of solar radiation. On the other hand, places like Venus have an incredibly thick atmosphere, and that means that heat can't escape the atmosphere. And so Venus gets really, really hot, and it also has a ton of air pressure. So neither of those places would be very ideal for life. So we're lucky that our atmosphere is kind of in between. So we've got our atmosphere that helps provide us with some of that shelter and protection. We also have a lot of liquid water, which is really important. But let's go back to that food or source of energy. Where does most of our energy come from on Earth? Well, for humans, it comes in the food that we eat, right? But where does the energy in the food that we eat come from? So all energy comes from the sun at some point, right? So if you think about a lot of those food chains or food webs that you've made, most of them start with the sun. So the sun is really, really important to life on Earth. But it's a balancing act because without our atmosphere, the sun could be really dangerous. So the sun provides us with heat, energy, light. We need all of those things. But the sun is also really powerful, right? So on a sunny day, you go outside and you put on sunscreen to keep yourself from getting a sunburn. If we didn't have our atmosphere, it would not matter how much sunscreen you put on. You would get burnt because the sun is so powerful that we would not be able to protect ourselves from it. So we need the atmosphere. That's excellent. It's a good thing we have our atmosphere. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about our sun. What do you guys already know about our sun? It's a star, right? It's the closest star to Earth. And there are tons and tons of stars in the universe. And not all stars are the same as our sun. They can be different colors. And those different colors tell us about the temperatures of the sun. So there are blue stars, which are the very hottest. There are white stars, which are kind of in the middle. And then there are red stars, which are the coolest. Now, when I say they're the coolest, they're still stars, so they're still super, super hot. It's just that they're not quite as hot as those blue stars. Now our sun is actually a white star. And I know that it looks more yellowish or orangish or reddish, but that's because of the gases in our atmosphere. It's actually white, which is really good for us because if it was blue, Earth might be really hot. If it was red, Earth might be too cold. So it's just right. In fact, we sometimes call our sun a Goldilocks star because it's just the right temperature. It's not too hot, not too cold, kind of like the Goldilocks porridge, not too hot, not too cold. She wanted just the right one. So that's our sun. It's just right. Now, if we were going to think about other places in the universe that life might be, it might not be around a yellow sun, a yellow-white sun. It might be around a red one or a blue one. So we have to think about how that would make life different. All right, guys, are you ready? It's time to start thinking about how to create your own alien. Now, we have to think about this in a very special way, because when you think about scientists, a lot of times people think that scientists are very rigid, that they're very logical and they follow a certain set of rules all of the time. And that's true. You do have to be very logical. You do have a lot of rules to follow if you're going to be a scientist. But you also have to be creative. You have to think outside of the box. Some of the best scientists are the ones who think really creatively. So that's what we're going to do to create our own alien. We're going to think scientifically, but also think creatively. So we have to come up with a way for our alien to breathe. We have to come up with a way for our alien to get water, a source of energy, and shelter or protection, because we know that's what all life needs. So the first thing we need to do is think about what sort of planet your alien is going to live on. So I've created my own alien, and my alien is going to live on a planet similar to Mars. So this is a Mars-like planet. Now, because it's similar to Mars, it has a thin atmosphere. And that thin atmosphere means that there's less air, and it also means that there's less protection from the sun. So I'm going to have to think about ways that my alien can survive that. Now, a Mars-like planet would also be smaller than Earth, which means it's going to have less gravity. So those are some things to think about when I create my alien. Now, when we're creating our aliens, we want to think about what adaptations would they have to survive on their planet. What is an adaptation? An adaptation is a special body part or behavior that a life form has to help it survive. So here on Earth, all of our living things have adaptations here as well. Let's think of an extreme environment, maybe like the Arctic. So it's very, very cold there, right? There aren't very many plants. It's a really extreme environment. But there's plenty of things that live there, including one of my favorites, polar bears. So what kind of adaptations do polar bears have to live in such a cold place? They have hollow fur that helps trap the heat from the sun to keep them warm. They have white coloring, which helps camouflage them so that they can sneak up on their prey. And they also have really big claws to help them walk successfully on the ice. So those are adaptations that they have. Now, think about some of the other extreme environments on Earth, maybe a cave, or the desert, or deep under the ocean. There are living things in all of those places. What sort of adaptations do they have? Maybe you can look some of those up and find out some other adaptations. Humans even have adaptations, right? We have big brains to help us problem solve. We have opposable thumbs and fingers that can do a lot of things. So think about all that when we're creating our alien. All right, are you guys ready to see my alien? So this is my alien Horatio, and since he lives on a Mars-like planet, he has a couple of adaptations to help him. He's low to the ground, which will help in a lower gravity environment. His feet kind of have suckers on them, again, to help him stick to the ground as he's walking around in that lower gravity. Since Mars doesn't have any water on the surface, he has a big, long tube to stick under the ground to look for water. Now this right here, that's not his eye. These are his eyes right here on stalk, so he can look around. That is his nostril, because if you have a thinner atmosphere, you're gonna have to have really big nostrils so you can bring in a ton of air. And that's why he has such a thick body. He has really big lungs so he can get enough air. But I kind of want to decorate Horatio. So I looked around my house to find some things that I could use to kind of jazz Horatio up. And Horatio, you can see he has these scales right here. And what those scales are, they're metallic and they absorb the energy from the sun and turn it into sugar, the same way that plants use photosynthesis here on Earth. But they also reflect some of the sunlight. So I wanted to find something that I could make his scales out of. So I found a few pennies. So that's what I'm going to do. So I've got some glue here, and I'm going to glue down his scales. All right. And you guys can think about what you have at home that you could use to make a Horatio as well. Well, not a Horatio, whatever you're going to name yours. So I'm going to get his scales all lined up. So again, my idea was that these scales absorb sunlight and turn it into sugar, but then they also reflect some of the sunlight to help protect Horatio from that sun. Now he has one other adaptation that's going to help him. And for this adaptation, I found some Q-tips. I'm going to put the Q-tips right here, and I'll glue them down later. I'm just going to put them there for right now. So my idea was these Q-tips are like retractable hair. So when it's cold at night, he can pull them in close to his body, and that'll keep him warm. But then during the day, when it gets warmer, he can kind of fluff them out and cool himself down. So that is Horatio, my alien. And I want you guys to take some time, look around your house, see what you can find to make an alien as well. If you guys make a really good alien, make sure to share it with us on Facebook or Instagram. And I hope you guys have a ton of fun and have a great day. Thank you so much.